The Cavs started the season off with a dub, and Max Strus looked like the second coming of everything you could have hoped for and then some in his Cavalier debut.
Well, I loved it. He had 27 points. I think he hit 7 3-pointers, which is a debut record for a Cavalier. After the game was over, he did a post-game interview with Bally's, and you could sense that, and he was kind of kidding, but there was some seriousness to it. Obviously, the biggest shot of the game was made by Donovan Mitchell, the three, after he shook his defender. But he actually said, I was open on that play too. I wanted the shot. And I was like, wow, okay. That's interesting. This is the new guy looking at Donovan taking the game-winning three and saying, for the record, I was open and I wanted that shot. That's interesting. Cool. That's interesting. My biggest takeaway was Evan Mobley, I know it's one game, you can't judge him, did not make the jump.
Didn't look any different from last year.
Didn't look any different to me. He looked exactly like the same guy.
Did you feel the same way?
It's one game. He had 10 points. He wasn't assertive. He wasn't screaming for the ball. He just looked like Evan Mobley.
You know, it's so funny. I'm knee-jerk, and I think that the whole world has their knees shaking right now, because here's what happens usually. Basketball is all about player comparisons. It's not like football, right? You could be put in a situation in football where, if you ain't got a quarterback and you're a receiver, you're just not going to be good, right?
Right.
If secondary, your defensive line sucks, you about to be victimized. And basketball is different. In basketball, you can see the impact of really good players today, right now, on it.
Yep.
And so when you look at what they wanted Evan Mobley to be, and what was foretold in the chronicles and the fairy tales, was that Evan Mobley was supposed to be somebody else, and that somebody else is Wemby. And when you start to see Wemby taking step-back jumpers, shooting threes, not blocking three-point shots, dunking on people.
Yeah, but Mobley wasn't supposed to be this guy.
Listen.
They weren't the same hype level.
No. Here's what I'm saying, though. Like what happens is, if you get one person with the same body type, that has that potential, when they call you a unicorn, there's only a certain amount of unicorns. And there's levels to unicorns, but Evan Mobley was called a unicorn.
By who?
Everybody.
But he wasn't the first. But nobody was talking about him like
they are in different categories. Plus, Wemby's a lot bigger.
Here's the thing. What I'm saying is, yes, they're in different categories.
Yeah.
But when you see somebody with the skill set that you want him to develop in that has it now, you end up having reactions like, I didn't see him.
I'm never expecting him to be Wemby, ever.
Do you think, are you saying the same thing as Jay, that based on one game?
Oh, no.
I don't mean based on one game.
No.
I parsed it by saying, look, I know it's only one game, but he looked like Mobley to me.
In a long story, I was saying the same thing y'all was.
Okay.
What happened is you're expecting to see, okay, he's on the perimeter. He's hitting the corner three. Maybe he's initiating the offense somewhere, right? I just turned the game on and was like, okay, let me just see how they're moving. And it looks like they're playing him at the same position. They're running no plays for him.
I just didn't see anything different.
It's just what he was last
And after
year.
Brad was in yesterday, I kind of had hopes, because the franchise knows what it is too. The franchise knows they need this guy to be that guy.
And Brad said,
if he's not, they're never going to be a championship
They will never have championship potential if he doesn't get dramatically more involved and improve his game.
And you know what was the most disappointing yesterday? There was no Jarrett Allen.
I know. So
he
had
was
more
the
space
big guy.
to operate. Right.
Well,
exactly.
I think we need to bring in the king of the Mobley Kool-Aid, Earl. Earl, we got to bring you in here for a second.
What did you
because
think about Evan
Earl
Mobley's performance
yesterday?
It was
Earl,
underwhelming.
you were out of pocket yesterday.
It was underwhelming. I thought that I feel like this is going to be the unicorn year. I said that I feel like this is going to be the year that instead of taking steps forward, this would be the year that Evan Mobley takes a leap forward. I thought yesterday was an opportunity for him to do that without Jarrett Allen being there, and he didn't show up. It was times that I felt like he disappeared through the game.
Did he even score in the second half?
I think he might have had
2 points.
Yeah. He did. Honestly, it's a good question because he was kind of invisible. Now, I know that for me, my big takeaway was Strus is that guy. He can shoot the hell out of this thing.
Right.
Now, here's what I'm most disappointed in. And I couldn't understand it. As I'm watching, I'm like, I don't remember Cam Thomas. I think he's in his second year. I'm like, this dude off the bench, what did he score, 35 points?
36. It's an NBA record. He's done that for 2.5 years now for the Nets.
No. What was he last year?
Well, he doesn't play a lot because he plays no defense and doesn't pass. But
I know,
anytime
but
he comes in, he scores.
Actually,
What did he average per game last year?
I mean, he had 3 games where he had 40 in a row.
No, I know he's like a microwave and he can go off, but we had no answer for this dude.
No.
That surprised me because we're supposed to be a team that is our vertebrae is defense.
He averaged 10 points per game, 10.6 points per game in 16.6 minutes. He was the highest point per minute scorer in the NBA.
He's like a microwave. You bring him in, you get immediate offense, but he was there the whole game and he was doing it. It was his bad shot that cost him the game.
Yeah, it was
that fadeaway off-balance 3 at the end that missed. I thought he could have got a better shot than that, but what really struggled, what'd they take? It was over 43s.
Cam Thomas yesterday?
No. The Cavs yesterday. They shot more than 43 pointers yesterday.
Oh, they shot. Yeah, it was a very different offensive philosophy.
What was the number? 45, 43?
For the game, the Cavs were 17 of 43 from 3 at a 40% clip, which is pretty damn good.
It's a great clip, but I don't think this team should be a 43 3 points a game team.
They've been working that. That's
too much, G.
They've been working that.
You got to be a 3-point shooter.
I know you've got to be, but what was the average last year?
It's also one game. We can't read too much,
I know, but they were chucking them up. It was just it seemed like every trip down the floor. 3.
Aren't the Nets supposed? I could be wrong about this.
Nets aren't supposed to be good this year.
No,
they're not.
Aren't the
Nets supposed to be a bad defensive team?
Yes.
This is supposed to be a bad team. We should have. We were up. I think we were up 10 in the third quarter, and then in a blink, we're down 6.
Yeah. I think one of the things that and I was expecting. We had Brad on, and once again, they won the game. I think the part of it that we're watching for, and most Cavs fans are looking at, is not necessarily the wins and losses so much. It's about the growth and development.
Yeah,
of
how they fit together.
How it fits and how are you playing. And yeah, they hit a lot of threes, but one of the things that I did see, and I was waiting for Brad to say it, when you asked him, hey, Mobley, he goes to practice, seeing these guys, he knows all the guys. Is he on that next level now? And Brad was non-committal.
All he gave us was he's gained 8 pounds of muscle.
He's gained 8 pounds.
And I wanted to see, he added 2 new moves in the low post. He's worked on his mid-range jumper. He's even working on his 3. He didn't say any of that. So we kind of had to read between the lines and be like, oh, it's going to be the same guy, and he was.
And what I mean when I compare him to Wemby, I don't compare him to like obviously he's not that's just God-given ability that Wemby has. That he just doesn't have.
He only had 15 last night.
He only had 15,
but he got hot late.
So the thought process is here.
And that was his first NBA game.
No, I know it was. I know.
The thought process is Evan Mobley doesn't have to be at that level of raw skills, but what he does need to do is, if it's nothing but saying I can knock down a 15 to 17-foot jumper like a Patrick Ewing or a LaMarcus Aldridge or a Vin Baker or a Rasheed Wallace, if you just add that,
we'll take it.
We'll take. Or he say, "Listen, I'm a good passing big man. I'm not gonna say you're gonna pass as well as Joker or Chris Webber, but I can facilitate from the high post.
Right.
If you just give me one of them, but with his defense, he's on that next level right now.
Yeah, his defense is hell. What was he? Finished second in the defensive player of the year. So I do think that what needs to be pointed out is they made the plays at the end. They needed to really. Yes. Donovan Mitchell did. He had a pickpocket dunk and the big 3 of the game that gave the lead. So he was who we want him to be.
Let me ask a quick question before we wrap this up to the guys who know basketball better than I do. Is it possible that Max Strus, it's a ridiculous question to ask after one game, but is it possible this guy could end up having a Lauri Markkanen type of season where the guy was a good player and then he went to a new spot and he became an all-star caliber player? Possible or impossible?
Yeah, I don't think he's nearly as talented as Markkanen, but he is in the perfect position here. And I've said this all throughout the offseason. They overpaid for him, but they overpaid in the sense that they had to get the perfect guy in to fit their system. He is a prototypical plug-and-play 3-and-D guy. And when you have Garland and when you have Mitchell, 2 guys who force the defense, especially in a pick-and-roll situation, to make a decision, help and allow a layup, or help and allow an open 3 in the corner, or don't help and allow a layup, you put the defense in a very, very difficult decision.
Right.
And Strus and even Niang, who didn't make a 3 yesterday, are elite at making shots off a straight pass.
Which is exactly what they needed.
Which is what they needed.
So,
So, Bull, to your sense, could he perform at an all-star level? He's not going to make 7 threes a game. That's not realistic.
No.
But
nor will he
is
score
the
27.
He is the perfect fit for this offense, and Niang also a perfect fit in how, in my opinion, this offense should be run.
Right.